Hello, I know this isn't my usual content and I have not uploaded anything in a month. Art block has been killing me. So I'm here to talk about something else. It's gonna be about my perception of the universe. It's gonna have pre established theories and hypotheses and some of my own ideas as well. I don't have a script, so if you hear me stuttering, taking pauses, messing up my words in general, just know that's why. This is gonna be a little lazy. I'm not editing the video, I'm making cuts while I record, okay? But I'll try to get my point across the best I can. And also, about a year ago, I think it's like 10, 11 months from now, I posted this video titled Why Your Favorite Fictional Character is Real. And I'll be making some references to it here. And it's 7 minutes long, that video, so you can go check it out. It's not really about fictional characters, just multiverses and all that. So yeah, let's begin. And also, if my voice sounds weird, just know that it's because I'm kind of sick, okay? I'm sick like 90% of the time in winter because I have the immunity system of a pea. Okay, back on topic, cosmic inflation. According to this theory, there was this inflation field. It's basically a field full of energy, and then that energy translated into the quantum field, which turned into matter. Now I'm gonna explain how that works. So basically, this inflation field had some fluctuation, some movement, and that basically affected the quantum field. If there's anything you'd know about the quantum field, it's that the particles are not actually particles. They're kind of just ripples. They're kind of just movement and vibration, fluctuation, excitation, words like that, okay, of the quantum field. And that is basically what creates a particle, which is matter. So what happened is that the energy during the Big Bang can happen while this also happens. So I really like to believe in this theory because of that. So what happened is that the energy from the inflation field just popped into the quantum field in less than a nanosecond, and then that from there we got all the energy that exists today. And energy can turn into matter because if you take an atom, you're gonna find electrons, neutrons, and protons. If you look inside that, you'll have quarks and gluons. So it's just basically that. Now let's talk about matter and antimatter. So matter and antimatter are created in pairs, and they're created in the inflation field. Right, so one thing about matter and antimatter is that if you take matter, I'm gonna call that M. I know it's not really the best thing to call it, but I'll try, okay? And if you combine that with antimatter, let's call that AM. You get an enormous amount of energy. This is pretty well known that antimatter is extremely destructive. So if this can happen, why can't the opposite? Why can't the inverse? What if we just take energy? Let's just call that N for now. Let's just call it E actually. E plus nothingness. N for nothingness. I'm also going to add that here because these two just annihilate each other. So nothingness, that could turn into positive matter and antimatter because a positive and a negative, they cancel out. So you can do the opposite and make these two pop into existence. Like when they come into existence, they go poof, but when they get out of existence, it's an explosion, like boom. I don't think that was funny, but okay. Or actually, I don't know, there may be a lot of energy involved during the creation, but that's not important right now. So there has been this question for a very long time. If matter and antimatter are created in pairs, why is there so much matter in our universe and there's barely any antimatter? Well, to that, there's a theory that each universe exists in two forms. We have the one with the positive matter and one with the negative or antimatter, and these two come from the same inflation field. Now, the inflation field isn't a vacuum, it has energy. So yeah, just thought I'd put that out there. So yes, this is what I believe. Now, let's talk more about quantum field. That's all about the matter antimatter stuff for now. So actually, there's this quantum field, right? Let's just call that the QF for quantum field. The quantum field is a collection of like the electron field, the photon field, and all the particles like that have their own fields, okay? Now I want to talk about this new, not new, that's a weird thing to call it, this other field that I thought of, the ARF or the ZEF or the IF. I'm gonna give you a moment to guess what these abbreviations mean. Action results field, or cause and effect field, or information field. I feel like information field could work better on this. Now let me explain what this basically is. So this is where we'll need that old video. Please go watch that, okay? I'm not gonna re-explain that unless I have to. So basically, the information field is like this matrix of data. Like, just take these random numbers, and if you've watched that video, you may be able to understand what I mean by this. Okay, so like I talked about these possibility things, right? Like there's one universe, okay? There's two options here. You pick option 1 or you pick option 2. So if you pick option 1, you have more options. Of course there's more than just two options, but we'll just do that for now. So there's 1, there's 2. Let's add a third one here because why not? And he'll also add a third one, and these kind of just branch out. So if you were to like say you want to get here, that would be 1 1, or you want to get here, that's 1 3. So that's basically what this entire thing is. And these information fields are metaphysical places. I mean, you can't really call them places, they don't exist physically. I'm not sure how they exist, but they're basically like data centers for the universe itself. And this doesn't always have to do with choices. By the way, by choices I do not mean choices. This is like different things that could happen, and not as in events. This is like movement of particles. Like if one particle is different in one universe than in the other, that'll be a whole new reality, okay? So that's what I mean. So basically there's this information field, okay? It doesn't have to be in numbers, but it would make sense that way. Now I want to talk about this illuminator field, which would also be IF. I'll just call it ILF, lowercase l. So there's this theory of reality kind of being like a flip book. Like say there's this ball and it's flying towards the ground, it would go like that, right? Take these as separate frames. Now the thing is, we're gonna pretend that this world is two-dimensional, okay? And so basically these frames are two-dimensional, but we're gonna imagine these as papers that are lined up like this, like in front of one another. Basically, how do I explain this? Like this, okay? Now, so basically that's what's going on, but our frames, our drawings, they're third dimensional, and this entire flipbook thing is fourth dimensional. This is a very popular theory, and so I just want to say that if you're flipping through a flipbook, you'll like every second or so you'll be on a specific page on the flipbook, and basically that page kind of talks about, it's kind of like similar to time. You know, like the further you are in the flipbook, you're in the future. If you're like in the back, you're kind of more in the past, and you know what I mean. Right, so now imagine this, okay? We are like, we've laid these down. I'm gonna arrange it in more of a hold on. I need to arrange it to look more like actual papers on the, okay, let's not do that, okay? Just imagine these as papers in front of the other. If we were to take a box, basically an invisible box, and make it slide across here to here, so that the say the screen, okay, screen, this is where we watch what happens reality. The frame that is inside this invisible box is the one that is shown here. If we were to look at it like that, that box would be what I call the illuminator box. Now you may be wondering, what sets apart one frame from the other? Like, how much of a distance do the moments need to have in time to be a different frame? The answer to that is that it's not about time. It's about the distance in the particles. The difference between each frame, one after the other, is of one particle. Not even one regular particle, it's like the smallest you can go, quark. Like the difference is like just one quark. Or there could be like another possibility, or those two possibilities could coexist. It's one with a code that is like one digit different. Now, each number, it could affect a quark, right? So that is why those two things could coexist. I like to call these frames instants. They're all out there, okay? And this illuminator box is what I'd call time. That's what time is. I actually have a clock in this room. I don't know if you can hear it ticking. So whoosh, we've got that. Now I think it's time to like talk about multiverses and all that again, just like I did in that video. So what a universe is, it's a universe. Let's call that U1. And a different thing could happen in a different universe called that U2 and U3. And this basically goes on for infinity. And so all of this is part of a bigger universe that I'll call the multiverse, MV multiverse. Or I could just call that M. So you may ask, what sets apart one multiverse from the other? If there's a difference in particles, one particle or one bit of information in universes, then what is the difference between different multiverses? It's also bits of information, but this time the bits don't talk about things that would happen and all that, the movement of particles and all that. It's actually just about basically the value of different like physical properties. Basically these just have entirely different laws of physics and all that. Like, Planck length, that's a constant that we see everywhere in physics. Well, the value of that could be different in another multiverse. The speed of light could be different in another multiverse. And those are basically like different little changes that set apart one multiverse from the other. So it's basically laws of physics versus things just happening. Also, if you're wondering why I've written this down in like a matrix, is that because you can't just write numbers and somehow expect that to give you the right information. It's kind of like, it doesn't have to be two-dimensional here. It's like an x-axis and a y-axis. It could also be like a z-axis from here, or fourth-dimensionally another axis. Also, I find it so funny that in every video, like related to stuff like this, people use apples as like the prime example of objects. Also, back on topic. So, I don't know how, okay? I'm not saying that I'm super smart and I know all. I'm kind of just confused myself, but I've got a bit of the picture here, okay? So these could also correspond to coordinates. And the numbers could also correspond to the position of particles. In fact, it could literally be zeros and ones, because a particle is either there or it is not. But that's another information field. There's not just one information field. There's a lot of information field. And honestly, now that I think of it, the ARF or CEF is actually different from like information fields in general. It's kind of just about how one action corresponds to a different result. This is not about actual actions, it's more about particles affecting each other. Everything is particles. Nobody cares about actions. So there's a number for correspondence to that. So basically what I'm trying to say is that there are fields with information in them, and they don't exist physically, and I'm not even sure how they exist, okay? I myself don't know what I'm talking about. But now let's talk about how I think the universe okay, let's talk about, we were talking about apples, right? Let's talk about the apple in a box theory. It's this thought experiment where there's like a tightly sealed box. Like nothing can enter or escape this box. There is no such box like that can be made, but this is just hypothetical. And if you were to place an apple in it, and in an infinite amount of time, this apple would go through every state of existence it possibly can, with the amount of matter there is inside. So yeah, that matter and energy will just recycle itself because no new energy or matter can come in, nor can any of that go out. So it basically just turns into everything. And that is the universe. Also, yeah, this is a pre-established theory. I love it. It just makes so much sense. Like, imagine if the energy just ominously being there in the inflation field is just like residual energy from like a past universe that was destroyed, and we got a new one destroyed, we got a new one destroyed, we got a new one. Also, these are some doodles and all from like my past attempt to record this. This was from a couple days ago. Basically, take these as different like instance, okay? These have different possibilities. The illuminator box goes through them like it could go like this, it could go this. Like there's so many possibilities, okay? And I've written down all of those possibilities, and those could be like the numbers to the universe. Like a code number basically. The information stored in the information field. I have no idea why I wrote down base reality there. Also, I want to talk more about this other like information field that I would call the binary field. It's just zeros and ones, okay? It's another information field. So I'm gonna explain it. Listen, take the electron field, right? So let's draw this like field. Obviously, this is probably not what the field looks like, but this is just how we visualize fields. So I know the particle is like a wave here, okay? So like that, how does that translate into reality? It's like highest here, so the particle is most likely to be here. So that translates to it being here. Or it could just not be here. It could be like here. And you could translate that into like zeros like not being there and ones being there. And this could relate to and correspond to some sort of coordinate field and information field having coordinates. Now take this electron field, say this is the code of the electron field, and it does have some sort of why do my hands look so weird on camera? They look so dry. But anyways, this corresponds to some sort of coordinate field. So like this is one coordinate, it's there, it's not there. Like, and of course this could be two-dimensional, three-dimensional. I'd say it's three-dimensional because reality is three-dimensional. So take that, okay? And say we have photons as well. Say the photon field is something like this. And you could just merge all of this together, and that is basically your why did I write a 2? That's basically your field, quantum field total. There's 12 quantum fields as far as I'm aware. And basically they could all be written like this, creating some sort of this matrix. Now, take this as a coordinate field of these actions. Like, what is this action here called? It would be 2, 1. There's a 2 and there's a 1. So we write a 2 and a 1, 21. This is reality number 21. Okay, we could say that. So does the particle, actually I said reality number 21, that is not quite what I meant. It's like position number 21, particle number 21, okay? So does the particle number 21, does it exist? It could exist, right? If we went here, it could exist. Does it exist? Is it there in that position that the particle 21 would be? If it's there, we get a 1. If it's not there, we get a 0. So basically, there's these binary fields and there's these coordinate fields, and those are kind of merged together. And there's also these super important constants that we see everywhere, even in geometry. there's a bunch of constants, and physics there's a bunch of constants, and these multiverses are all about different constants. So basically this is what I mean, and this is how I perceive the universe. My opinion will very likely change because yes. So I may have more to talk about that I don't quite remember right now, and I'll probably write that in the comments or description if I want to add more. Also, can I go off topic for a while? I wanted to make these videos where I just put on a black screen and talk, right? So I just want to talk about how I kind of I basically, without knowing that the egg theory exists, thought that, hey, what if egg theory is real? Like, okay, let me explain this. The egg theory, I don't quite believe in it. It's like saying that everyone is the same person, just reincarnated, but they're from different times, and that is why we're all here together. So, I don't know, you can believe in that, nothing wrong with that. So, at one point in my life, I did have a thought like this. And then I went ahead and found out a couple years later, oh my god, this is an actual theory. So I think that's really funny. I just want to talk about it. Okay, I have thoughts like these sometimes. So, now that I saw that these thoughts can be actual theories, I'm like, okay, let's post about this because why not? Also, this is again off topic. You could click off if you don't want to see my perception of the universe anymore. That's over. I'm done with explaining. This is kind of just an extra part. We basically all are the same consciousness because consciousness is the awareness of thoughts. It's not the thoughts themselves. It's observing thoughts. So we are basically the exact same person. Exact same person if we were in different environmental conditions, because your environment really affects you, the people around you, your circumstances, and neural structure. Your neural structure influences your personality and choices, making you who you are. And so it's basically the same person if they had different environments, different people, different circumstances, and a different neural structure. So yeah, that was really off topic, but I really wanted to put that out there. So you are me if you were you are me if you had the same circumstances and neural structure as I. So with that, goodbye. Also, that was cringe. Why did I say like that? It rhymed though. That was cool. Bye for now, okay?